Welcome on back to Fortress of Solitude. We're going to be continuing on with the Dark Droids Star Wars event with Star Wars issue 38 by Charles Soule and Madabak Musabekov again. Lando and Lobot's adventure to Jabba's palace continues. In this issue we see the full extent of the Scourge's infiltration of the castle, as it's taken over every droid in the palace, led by EV-99, the very sadistic torture droid we see in Return of the Jedi. We also learned that the Scourge, while it was there just to sort of infiltrate the underworld of the Star Wars universe, actually comes up with a new mission for itself, which is to take over Talky, realizing that it's a very old Trawek droid filled with very important information from history's past as well as the rebellion, and therefore it must be assimilated for its knowledge and turned into the Scourge. Soule uses the issue to also square off a few other big plot holes, not just from the book and from his past books, but also the Star Wars timeline in general, like how Lando is present in Jabba's palace in Return of the Jedi, having him break out Tobias Beckett's old slaver costume he used in Solo to infiltrate the castle with Lobot and get his friend the help he needs. We get more fantastic flashbacks to Lando and Lobot's early years as well, with Lando introducing Lobot to fancy clothes and how to use clothes to benefit themselves as con men, since if you can sell the fit you wear, you can sell the lie. There's a real interesting dichotomy between Lando teaching his friend to be unique and be the type of person who can stand out in a crowd and draw attention to themselves in all the right ways, while the Scourge wants everything and anything to conform to its own vision and body, and it's again sad seeing Lando and Lobot's early years filled with so much of this laughter and friendship, and then their present situation which is just so desperate and dark. Lando eventually does get into the palace, and Soule does a really funny piece with Boba Fett in the palace as well, since he's there because obviously he delivered Han Solo to Jabba, so he's stuck around for quite some time, and he quickly nopes the fuck out of there upon seeing the Scourge and having to kill his way through a couple of the droids. It's a fun little sequence that sets the already high stakes of the Scourge, and it leads to Lando getting trapped into the Rancor pit with Lobot and the Talky, being literally trapped between a rock and a hard place as the Rancor wakes up and the Scourge end up coming into the chamber as well. The meeting with the Talky is actually quite fun, since the Talky obviously remembers Lando sold him to Jabba without the rebellion knowing and without the Talky getting any say in what would happen to him. So I like that the Talky uses that against Lando and says, I'll help your friend, but you got to get me out of here first, since I don't want to be left behind like you would do. You'd promise me that we'd have a deal, but then you'd go back on it, since he knows who Lando really is. And it leads to a really cool moment where he alleviates some of Lobot's implants, so Lobot can kind of come back to himself very briefly, and it makes me kind of worried, since it feels like Soule is setting up a final conversation between Lando and Lobot where they can have one last heart-to-heart with each other before Lobot disappears forever, since as I said in my last review, Lobot's not present during Return of the Jedi and we don't really know his fate after this, so it's very possible he could end up dying and sort of be the thing that spurs Lando to become a fully fledged rebel. Either way, I'm excited to see where it's going. I like that Soule isn't just using these tie-in issues just to tell a tie-in, you know, it could have just been Lando fighting a bunch of robots. He's actually building off of the story that he himself gave to Lando in his Solo series, as well as what he's been building up over the course of the last 38 odd issues. I'm going to give this issue another 10 out of 10. Absolutely check it out if you haven't already. It is well worth the cover price and makes the whole event of Dark Droids a little bit better than just the usual run-of-the-mill tie-in filled events we've been usually getting from Marvel and DC as of late.